This is a Willets Point Shea Stadium bound 7 express train. The next and last stop is Willets Point, Shea Stadium.
With Manaea, and I don't know if he learned this at Driveline, but that sweeper that he had, hitters were slashing 140, 161, 163, 35.1% whiff rate. He used it most in August, which was 25% of the time. And that's when his ERA was at its best. It was at 3.15. For those who may not know what a sweeper is, can you delve a little bit into that?
Well, what it is baseball went into this phase of upper 90s fastball with a 91 to 93 mile an hour slider, which used to be a cutter back in my day. So it was a smaller movement, sharper movement, later movement, right? And so that became the new slider that was being thrown by everybody. And so now all hitters in baseball are used to seeing that. Now they're calling what used to be our slider, which was harder than our curveball, but it still had a little bit more break than a cutter, is a sweeper now. It's an old school slider, so it's in that lower 83, 84 mile an hour range, and it has a lot more horizontal movement. So what it does is it sweeps across the strike zone. Some guys are able to change the axis and actually keep it flatter, or even make it look like it almost rises depending on the arm angle, where that sweeping action, it's kind of tough for a hitter to look for, because they're used to seeing the ball dive down and dive away. So say for a right-handed hitter, it would dive away. For a left-handed hitter, dive away from their bats, and they're looking to stay on top of that, stay on plane. Now this thing stays flat across the zone, and it's a bigger sweeping motion. That's what a sweeper is. It used to be called our sliders. Now they call it sweepers. I don't know why they went there with that.
And how could Manaea best utilize this right now? Because he's going to be put in the rotation. Obviously, he learned it mostly for the bullpen. This was used throughout August. Once he became to September and he started getting back into the rotation, he kind of, used it a little bit less. Is there a strategy behind that for the rotation and for the bullpen, or is that just because you don't want to exert, more, energy in that arm?
Well, I think it all depends, right? If you're a one inning kind of relief guy, then you're going to show what you got, because you're only going to face those 3 hitters. That's the hope, right? So you're going to go with the best 1-2 punch, whatever it is that night. And that's one of the things when you go from being a starter to a reliever and bouncing back and forth. As a starter, they always had you working on 3 to 4 pitches. As a reliever, they want you to master. The fastball has to be mastered already, so you have to have that secondary pitch mastered. Your out pitch, your go-to pitch, your pitch that's going to elicit soft contact or swing and miss stuff, which became his cutter, his sweeper. So that to me is where, yes, he can use it when it's only 3 hitters, much more, I would say prolifically, as compared to when you're a starter. You kind of want to wait for the right moments to use it. You can get by with just using your fastball, so 4-seam, 2-seam, up in the zone, down in the zone, inside, outside. That's enough to get you through the first time through the lineup. You don't have to get too tricky, too fancy with it. So that's why the numbers are down on it. When you get to 2 strikes and you want to put a guy away, of course, sure, go to the sweeper, see if you can get a swing and miss, a pop up, an easy weak ground ball, and that's what you're looking to do. But I think there's a ratio that he will get comfortable with, and all pitchers come into this where they realize, hey, these are my best 2 pitches. This is what I'm going to go with, and depending on who's facing him, when do I have to use it? If I have to use it. Do I save it until somebody gets on second base? Because with a guy on first base, if I can use my sinker and get a ground ball double play, why go and make a mistake with a ball, up in the zone? So I think that's part about learning how to pitch and learning what kind of pitcher you are. So going from the success that he had as a reliever, and a guy like Seth Lugo is a perfect example, right? We saw what he was able to do. He had several pitches that he could throw, but his best 1-2 with that fastball curveball combination. But if he was starting, he needed to do more. He couldn't just go out there with the 1-2 and just keep showing the same routine. You got to be a little bit unpredictable. So I think that's where, as a starter, he can still use his other pitches, be a little bit unpredictable, and not fall into a rut of 82% of the time with 2 strikes. He's going to throw that sweeper, because then it tips off the hitters that they have an idea of what's coming and what he likes to go to.